What's happening, everyone? Good afternoon. Happy Tuesday, and what a Tuesday it is. Financial markets traded almost flat today ahead of the first presidential face-off set to start at 1700 hours GMT. We're 3 seconds into the New York opening, and 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the U.S. trading session, everyone. U.S. stock markets traded higher pre-opening today ahead of what seems to be a memorable standoff between President Donald Trump and Joe Biden. A raft of speakers from the Federal Reserve will open the markets today with John Williams and Vice Chairman Richard Clarida on the stage. Turkish lira and Russian ruble dropped drastically against the US dollar, and more pressure is added to the oil prices as Azerbaijan and Armenia are on the edge of a war. Welcome to the US trading session. Let's have a quick look and see what are the top 5 things to know in the markets today. Obviously, the first one and probably the most important one is Donald Trump and Joe Biden will take part in their first head-to-head debate ahead of the presidential election at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 1700 hours GMT. The state of the economy, the handling of the pandemic, and issues of racial inequality and law and order are likely to top the bill. One further issue of note is likely to be the Trump's tax records, which were leaked by the New York Times at the weekend. This is where it gets interesting, guys. Opinion polls suggest that at the moment, the election is Biden's to lose. An average of polls on realclearpolitics.com put him nearly 7 points ahead nationally. Sorry. The debates are nonetheless likely to be a severe test to the 77-year-old power of concentration, which Trump has repeatedly flagged as a weakness in his opponent. I don't know about you guys, but I'm dying to see this standoff, the first standoff, and probably the last one for Joe Biden. We know how aggressive Donald Trump can be, and again, being being a bully with a 77-year-old man. I don't know if that's the best thing to do. However, it is going to be memorable. Today is going to be a memorable day, guys. Right, let's move on. Let's move on to number 2 on the board, which is not such a good news. COVID-19 hits the million milestone. Unfortunately, COVID-19 has now officially killed more than 1 million people worldwide, according to data from Johns Hopkins. There's no particular power in such numbers, but markets remain under pressure from signs of rising infections across Europe and the US. Vice President Mike Pence, who argued during the summer that there were no second wave, said on Monday that Americans should expect case numbers to rise in the coming days. While he put this down to more widespread testing, positive rates have also risen across much of the Midwest in recent days. Deaths from the virus rose 40% in England and Wales to their highest in 5 weeks, while German Chancellor Angela Merkel warned she might impose tighter restrictions on public gatherings to preempt a further surge in infections. As I was telling you yesterday, guys, and as I keep telling you since Monday, countries were really careful with their statements, but apparently now they had to come forward and take some measures or announce people that they will take some measures. The situation in Europe, at least, tends to be really serious, guys. Protect yourselves, protect your family, and let's try and get rid of this annoying COVID pandemic, which killed 1 million people so far. Right, moving on to happier things. Number 3 on the board, stocks consolidate after big gains. U.S. stock markets are poised to open largely flat ahead of Tuesday's presidential debate, consolidating after rapid gains over the last 2 sessions. By 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time, Dow futures and the S&P 500 were both flat, while Nasdaq futures were down 0.1%. Markets reacted with skepticism overnight to the new proposals from House of Democrats for a $2.2 trillion stimulus package for the economy. The numbers remain far above what the Republican-controlled Senate has signaled it will approve. Let's see how it's going to go today. I'm positive. I'm 100% positive Donald Trump will mention the stimulus measures, as that's probably his biggest weapon, against his rival Joe Biden. Moving on to number 4 on the board, the Fed speakers consumer confidence house price data due. The data calendar fills up a bit more today with updates from the conference board on consumer confidence at 10 a.m. Eastern time, and the S&P Case-Shiller house price index for July, an hour before that. Also, a raft of speakers from the Federal Reserve will also hit the news wires, starting with New York's John Williams at 9:15 a.m. and ending with bank supervision head Randall Quarles at 3 p.m. Influential Vice Chairman Richard Clarida is sandwiched somewhere between them at 11:40 a.m. Eastern Time. European data overnight poised to persistent weakness in consumer prices in the Eurozone in September, which followed an overwhelmingly dovish address to the European Parliament by ECB President Christine Lagarde on Monday. And number 5 on the board, the war I was telling you about, guys. Oil prices fell in overnight trading as a brief rally on geopolitical concerns ran out of steam ahead of the weekly update on U.S. crude stockpiles from the American Petroleum Institute. The eruption of fighting between Azerbaijan and Armenia briefly raised concerns about the security of 1.2 million barrels of oil that takes Azeri crude to the Mediterranean. The two former Soviet republics both have powerful supporters in Turkey and Russia who exercise a considerable influence over both. Right, this is what is happening with the markets today, guys. Let's have a quick look at the charts and see how the markets open and what happened with oil. Wow, what a rally on oil. We see it testing the 200 moving average, if anything, going through the 200 moving average, currently trading at 39.96. This movement has started in the last 10-15 minutes, guys. I've been watching the charts for the last half an hour. I couldn't catch any movement like this. It only happened in the last 10-15 minutes. Oil traded flat today, most of the day, around the 40-30 level where it was this morning. Yeah, if we look at these candlesticks, okay, let me zoom in a bit so you get a clearer view. There we go. If you look at these candlesticks, guys, this is what happened during the European trading session. So the markets were literally flat. Now, the closer we got to the US opening, we saw a bit of selling power on oil, and currently oil is testing the 200 moving average. Now, look towards the left-hand side, guys, and see what happened with oil every time it tested the 200 moving average previously. Okay, sometimes or most of the times it gets rejected by the 200 moving average. So a lot of traders will target buy positions long term, very, very likely, trying to ride the wave. Yeah, overall oil, as we look at it, still remains in an uptrend, even though it's still shy. And as you see on the chart here, this is the next probable movement if the uptrend will continue. So it makes a lot of sense for traders to eye this price, and as soon as the rejection happens, they're going to go in with long positions. Now, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Oil might drop even further today. Yeah, probably it will target this level. Yeah, the 39.20, 39.25, 28, somewhere there. If it decides to go even lower and test the support levels again. Let's see how the markets will react to what's going to happen today. Moving on, we're having a look at the euro, which again didn't move much today. The movement started in the last half an hour. We see the RSI and the stochastic way in the overbought, and we see the euro pushing through the 200 moving average, which if it managed to settle above the 200 moving average, we can consider an uptrend. Moving on, we're looking at the pound, which traded very flat today. There you go. This is how the pound traded. Not a lot of movement happened. A good news is that the pound is trading on top of the 200 moving average, which again, that indicates a bit of strength. But remember that any news coming from across the pond or from Europe could easily shift that direction. Also, UK and the European Union started the new round of talks on yesterday, okay, which they will probably last for another 2 days. So the pound is under pressure till we get some news from those meetings. We're looking at the USD JPY, which again, you can see it. The dollar traded really flat today. There you go. This is the European trading session that you see at the top. Nothing really happened. The dollar still remains in an uptrend versus the Japanese yen. And again, if you look at support resistance levels, guys, we can see the channel. There you go. This is the trend channel. So now the next movement for this trend to continue, might be this. We're going to see the US dollar pulling back a bit, testing the lows. And then if we get good comments from either one of the Fed representatives, which we'll speak shortly, then it will probably push the dollar a bit higher, continuing the uptrend. But again, we have to wait for confirmation from the markets. Okay, these are just speculations. Moving on. Let's have a look at the Aussie dollar, which pushed a bit higher today, currently being rejected by the 200 moving average on a 1-hour chart. It's currently trading at 0.7125. RSI and stochastic way in the overbought. A bit of pullback is definitely expected. Okay, on the Aussie dollar after such a rally. Yeah, we're looking at 8 hours. Yeah, 8 hours of rally for the Aussie dollar. Again, a pullback is expected, guys. Be very, very careful. If you want to trade short-term, intraday, or long-term, take into consideration this pullback so you avoid a potential drawdown on your trading account. Moving on to USD Canadian, which is ranging. We see the dollar strengthening a bit after the US opening. But again, nothing is really set to happen until the FOMC, the Fed meetings, and Donald Trump will have his face-off with Joe Biden. Let's have a look at the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones. We see the S&P 500 opening higher than yesterday, were leveled off. How we can see it's a very, very tiny opening. Let me decrease the time frame and see what's going on. Right, let's say a positive opening. Again, nothing is really happening so far. It didn't push up, it didn't push down, it's just there. The good news is the S&P 500 is pushing through the 200 moving average, at least on a 1-hour chart. Let's have a look at it on a 4-hour chart. Right, it's well supported by the 200 moving average on a 4-hour chart. That usually indicates an uptrend. Let's see. The American stocks done really, really well in the last couple of trading sessions. Let's hope that will continue and they will get back on track. Dow Jones, again, negative opening for the Dow Jones. Okay, again, it's testing the 200 moving average. Let's see how it's going to end the day. Yeah, it's not important how you start the day, guys. It's important how you end the day. On a 4-hour chart, we see the price well supported by the 200 moving average. But don't forget, guys, between where the markets are now and the 200 moving average, it's quite a lot of distance. So you don't want to get caught on the wrong side of the trade. Looking at the chart more carefully, we can see a head and shoulders pattern again being formed. That usually implies a bit of a downtrend, which already happened. Now, the question is, where will it go from here? Will we see the Dow Jones testing the 200 moving average again? Or the U.S. stock markets will be set for a fast recovery following some good news on stimulus measures that are expected. Moving on to the U.S. dollar index, which is dropping slightly. It's pulling back towards the 200 MA. Probably it's going to test it at some point today following some statements. Again, this is on a 4-hour chart. Right, on a 1-hour chart, there you go, guys. You can see it. It already tested the 200 MA. Let's see if it's going to go below or it's going to get rejected by the 200 MA and then go back in an uptrend. Gold futures traded only 4 cents lower than this morning. Gold is looking to push through the 200 MA with the RSI and the stochastic still pointing upwards. They still didn't manage to get into the overbought territories. Let's see. This is the correction everyone is waiting for. Yeah, this morning I was saying we might see oil trading testing the 1900 levels. It's very, very close. Very, very close. It might happen, guys. It might happen, and that might give everyone a bit of confidence in gold and the U.S. stock market. Let's move on to light crude, which again just before the U.S. opening started pulling back slightly, currently testing the 200 moving average with the RSI and the stochastic trading at their lows. We're looking at 42.18 for Brent oil as things stand right now. Okay, in times like this, guys, again, remember your support resistance levels, the top ones and the intermediary ones. Okay, there's the intermediary one there. Okay, where the 200 moving average is, and the top one is up here, yeah, where the markets managed to push earlier on. So this is where the action happens, yeah, between 42.92 from what we see on the charts and 41.32. Nothing out of the ordinary. If you remember yesterday, we were having the same conversation, guys, and I was telling you when oil was pulling back here, right, this looks like another false breakout. It might come all the way down and test the 41.30 level. And guess what? It didn't. It bounced off this level, yeah, which you see there, 41.71. Okay, so if oil remains in an uptrend, then it's unlikely to see it going below the 200 moving average for too long. Let's move on. Let's have a look at silver futures, which are trading just a tad higher than they were doing this morning. Currently, they're trading at 24.11. Again, very, very close to the 200 MA, which stands at 24.32. Okay, so we might see a bit more push. Although the RSI and the stochastic seem to be turning around as we speak, we need a good 45 minutes after the US opening for the markets to settle before we make any decisions. Now, Bitcoin, your favorite, guys. Even Bitcoin was trading flat today, currently trading at 10,778. Okay, very small gains, very little gains for the Bitcoin, well supported by the 200 moving average. And from what we see here, it creates higher lows. Okay, so we might see Bitcoin pushing higher, again, testing the highs at the 11,000 mark or just short of that. Ethereum, guys, for the traders that wanted me to talk about Ethereum, there you go. Very similar charts between Bitcoin and Ethereum. Okay, as Bitcoin advances, we can see Ethereum advancing as well. Very, very similar charts. So far, Ethereum is well supported by the 200 MA as well. Okay, but it will react at every movement of the Bitcoin. Right, now, I was telling you about a war between Azerbaijan and Armenia. Okay, let's have a look at Google Maps and see where exactly they are and why is that affecting the oil price and how can that affect the oil price. Okay, so there's somewhere, this is Europe. Okay, for the ones of you that don't know where Europe is, this is Europe. So next to Turkey, yeah, towards the right-hand side of Turkey, you're going to see Armenia and Azerbaijan, yeah, at the Caspian Sea. They're very close to Georgia and the Black Sea as well. Okay, apparently they started what seems to be a war. Okay, and we saw the Turkish lira dropping drastically, as well as the Russian ruble versus the US dollar. All right, talking about that, let's have a quick look at USD TRY, which is the Turkish lira. There you go. Right, this is what happened with the US dollar versus the Turkish lira in the last couple of days. Yeah, we can all see the rally, okay, from there to there. Basically, it took the exchange rate from 7.61, yeah, all the way up to 7.82. Okay, over 20 cents. That is a massive, massive movement. And if you remember a couple of years ago when America dropped some sanctions on Turkey, they almost crashed the Turkish economy within 1 month. Let's see what's going to happen from here. Sometimes exotics are good to trade, guys, especially when you have a news like this and you know almost for sure, for certain, that the other country has absolutely no chance in fighting the US dollar, yeah, and recover overnight. So probably that's gonna last for quite some time. Right, quick look at some trading signals of investing.com, guys. We're looking at the Nasdaq futures on a strong buy. Okay, the Nasdaq 100. We're looking at a strong sell on the S&P 500 at the Dow Jones shortly after the opening, followed by strong buy signals on a daily chart and an hourly chart. We're looking at Nasdaq, which has us 4 strong buy signals. Small cap 2000, strong buy, and this is basically it. We only care about the big ones. Yeah, the Dow Jones, the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, and the Nasdaq 100. Now let's have a quick look at commodities and see what investing.com's view is on commodities. Here we're looking at gold on a strong buy after the US opening on a 5-minute, 15-minute, and hourly. Okay, the daily remains a sell. It's not a strong sell, which is a good sign. Silver the same, guys. Okay, a strong buy on 3 time frames, and we are keeping an eye on the 4th one on the daily to see if that's going to change, if that's going to become a buy or a strong buy as well. Okay, we're looking at crude oil, WTI, and Brent oil on strong sell positions on 5-minute, 15 minutes, and 1 hour charts. Okay, and natural gas on a strong sell on 3 time frames. Right, this is what investing.com has to say about commodities shortly after the US opening. Guys, remember, the markets need a good half an hour to 1 hour to settle, and these signals might turn around slightly. Remember to check the charts if you're planning to open any positions, okay, and see if it makes sense. Wow, what a drop. Okay, so this is what is going on with the markets, guys. Remember, shortly we're going to have Donald Trump facing off Joe Biden. Yeah, the 77-year-old Joe Biden, which wants to take the presidency of the United States. Today, memorable day, guys. We're going to touch base again tomorrow morning, and you can tell me what you thought about the face-off, the standoff. This is it from my side. Join me tomorrow morning. We're going to have a guest tomorrow morning at the European opening, and we're going to have some good news as well. And obviously, we're going to have lots of things to talk about after this standoff. Right, this was it from my side today, guys. Remember to trade responsibly, and may all your trades be in the money. Andrew the Chart Whisperer, over and out.